Tonight, when the sounds of your own mind get too loud, you'll reach for your phone. You'll scroll through a familiar screen, past photos and inside jokes, and you'll type the words that sever a world. We need to talk. Or maybe you'll just stop replying. You'll let the silence do the brutal, quiet work. For you, heartbreak is a text message, a blocked account, a digital ghosting. But for over 200,000 years of human existence, breaking up meant staring into the eyes of the only other person for 100 miles who knew your true name. It meant untangling a bond that was quite literally a matter of life and death, with your family, your tribe, everyone you'd ever known, watching. There was no moving out, no swiping right on someone new. The stakes weren't just emotional. They were existential. If even one of our ancestors had navigated this rupture the wrong way, if a bad breakup had turned fatal or exiled them from the group, you would not be here, breathing this air, reading these words. Your existence is the product of a million successful, survivable goodbyes. This is the story of the first heartbreaks. It's not about jealousy or lost love letters. It's about survival calculus in a world of ice and teeth. It's about why the pain in your chest today, that raw, physical ache, isn't a flaw. It's an ancient, brutal, and breathtakingly elegant protocol. A protocol written in genetic code, forged in the desperation of small bands clinging to life on the edge of extinction. And to understand it, you have to forget everything you know about romance. You have to go back to the real stakes. Picture the cold first. Not a pleasant chill, but the kind that seeps into your marrow and sets up shop. The world is in the grip of an ice age. You are part of a band of maybe 30 people. They are your everything. Your hunters, your caregivers, your defenders against the things that howl in the long, black nights. Among them is your partner. This isn't about candlelit dinners. This is a survival contract. They are the one who ensures your share of the mammoth meat doesn't get lost. The one who watches your back when you're vulnerable, gathering tubers by the riverbank. The one whose body heat is the difference between hypothermia and seeing the dawn. Now, something breaks. Maybe they've grown careless, a liability on hunts that puts everyone at risk. Maybe they've begun hoarding, taking more than their share of the precious summer berries. Or maybe the bond has simply faded. The silent understanding is gone. The trust has eroded. You are now allies in name only, and in a group this small, that thin veneer of an alliance is a crack that winter will widen into a canyon. What do? You can't just walk away. Solo humans in the Pleistocene were dead humans. Predators picked them off in days. You can't move to the next tribe over. That's a half-year's journey through unknown terror, and they'd likely kill you as a stranger or a rival on sight. Every person in your band is a vital node in the survival network. Severing one connection weakens the entire web, so you are trapped, stuck in the most intense, intimate proximity with the person who has become your greatest social danger. This was the primordial pressure cooker for the human breakup. It wasn't a private sorrow. It was a public crisis. And the solution our ancestors stumbled upon, through sheer, desperate trial and error across millennia, wasn't about ending a relationship. It was about renegotiating it. With all its dizzying pain and ritual, is the ghost of that desperate, necessary renegotiation and warning of snakes. The deep software of bonding and unbonding ran on a much older operating system. It ran on chemistry, on behavior, on biology. Reverse engineer the very processes that glued them together in the first place. It creates feelings of calm, trust, and attachment. It literally makes their presence feel like safety. Your brain on love looks startlingly similar to a brain on cocaine. And that's not poetry, that's neuroscience. Now, how do you break a chemical addiction when you cannot leave the source? The tribe can't handle the withdrawal. A partner going through acute opioid and dopamine withdrawal in a high-stakes survival. And you can see the shadows of this protocol in everything you do when a modern relationship ends. You would consciously minimize direct interaction. You'd take the first watch, they'd take the last. Was a microdose of the addictive substance, a hit of oxytocin or dopamine that would reset the withdrawal clock. You'd spend more time with your sibling, your childhood friend, the skilled elder who told good stories. You'd share your meat with them more deliberately. You'd groom them more often. Modern humans do this exactly. We lean on friends. We call our parents. We go out with coworkers. We're not just seeking comfort. We are, at a cellular level, rebuilding the support network that the severed bond has compromised. We are reinforcing the other threads in the web so it doesn't tear when one goes slack. Then comes the ritualized hostility. This is the counterintuitive twist, the moment where the ancient logic becomes stunningly clear. The fights, the blame, the rewriting of your shared history. From "they were my soulmate" to "they were always selfish." we see it as bitterness. But from a survival standpoint, it's chemical warfare. Remember, your brain is addicted to their presence. To break that addiction, your mind needs to recategorize them. They must go from source of safety and reward to source of threat or disgust. And the fastest way to do that is to poison the well of memories. Arguing, assigning blame, focusing on their flaws. This triggers a different chemical cascade. It raises cortisol, the stress hormone. It engages neural pathways for threat assessment. It literally overwrites the old, addictive memories with new, aversive ones. You are helping your brain break its own habit by making the object of the habit seem toxic. The profound loneliness, the aching void, that's withdrawal. Your endogenous opioid system, which was calibrated to their presence, is now underproducing. You are in literal, physical pain. The chest tightness, the heaviness, that's not in your head. It's the body's opioid receptors screaming for the fix they're not getting. The insomnia, the loss of appetite, that's your dopaminergic reward system, confused and searching for the predictable reward that has vanished. You are a biochemical entity going through a managed detox. And this is where the evidence starts to pile up, where the story moves from theory into the hard light of archaeology and physiology. Take the ancient campsites. Archaeologists at places like Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic, a site from 30,000 years ago, find something fascinating. The hearths, the social centers, show patterns. There's evidence of one large, central fire for the whole group. But then, scattered at the peripheries of the living area, are smaller, individual hearths. The interpretation, the central fire was for the tribe. The smaller fires were for family or pair units. Now, look at the artifacts. In some areas, you find a microflint toolkit and spear points, the domain of one individual. In another, just a few feet away, you find grinding stones and ochre pigments, the domain of another. These spaces were intimate, overlapping, but distinct. When a pair bond broke, the most immediate, visible change would be the hearth. One person would physically move their sleeping skin, their tools, their share of the fire, to a new, separate micro-hearth. They weren't exiled from the group. They were repositioned within it. The archaeology suggests a formalized, spatial acknowledgement of the split, a public, yet peaceful, distancing. No drama at the central fire, just a quiet rearrangement of the domestic geography. The bond wasn't severed from the tribe. It was reconfigured within the tribe's space. Then there's the biological evidence, written in our hormones. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes, like the Hadza of Tanzania, have measured hormone levels during social strife. They found that during periods of interpersonal conflict within the band, cortisol levels spike not just in the individuals arguing, but in everyone in close proximity. A breakup was a public health event. The stress was contagious. Но они также наблюдали протокол исцеления. Враждующие стороны после периода избегания были мягко побуждаемы участвовать в общем, несложном задании для группы, починки сети, приготовление общей трапезы. Не как пара, а как два соплеменника. This cooperative act, without the pressure of intimacy, would trigger a small, shared release of oxytocin. Not the bonding oxytocin of lovers, but the trust-building oxytocin of allies. It was a chemical handshake, resetting the relationship to a baseline of tribal utility. Perhaps the most chilling evidence comes from something called social pain theory. Neuroscientists like Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA put people in fMRI scanners. Unbeknownst to the subject, the other players were computer programs. After a while, the program would stop throwing the ball to the subject, excluding them. The brain scans were shocking. The regions that lit up weren't just the emotional centers. They were the exact same neural pathways that process physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex and the insula. Being socially rejected, being cut from a bond, hurts like a physical wound. And the brain treats it like one, deploying similar analgesic and coping responses. This is the final, devastating piece of the puzzle. The ache of heartbreak is not a metaphor. It is a literal, neural injury. Evolution wired it that way because the cost of a bad social rupture was as high as the cost of a broken leg. The pain is a biological alarm, screaming at you to fix the social fracture, to seek reconnection, to heal the tear in your survival network. In ancient times, that alarm pushed you to either repair the bond or, if that was impossible, to complete the detox and reintegrate fully into the group. The pain had a function. It was the engine of social survival. Now, bring it all back to your phone, to your darkroom, to the silent scream of a text thread that's gone dead. You are running the protocol. The obsessive replaying of memories? That's your threat assessment system trying to solve the what went wrong puzzle to prevent future injury. Trying to stabilize your internal model of this person from addiction to neutral or threat. The urge to drunk text, to just talk? That's the opioid withdrawal, the primal panic of a severed survival tether, screaming for reconnection at any cost. It was built for a context where your pain had a clear exit route, reintegration into a small, stable, lifelong community. Your world is different. You have a tribe of thousands, digitally connected and physically scattered. You can block, delete, and vanish. The protocol initiates the avoidance, the pain, the restructuring, but it often hits a wall. There is no shared hearth to slowly, awkwardly, rebuild trust around. There is no tribe waiting to absorb you both into its daily, cooperative rhythm. The chemical detox happens in a social vacuum. The pain alarm keeps ringing, but the fix, it's evolved to prompt. Social reintegration with the source of the pain is neither possible nor wise. So you are left with this ancient, powerful grief, operating on a software update that is 200,000 years out of date. It's no wonder it feels like dying. To your nervous system, in a way it is. A part of your survival world has collapsed. But that pain is not a sign you are broken. It is a sign of how profoundly you are built to connect. The sheer depth of your heartbreak is a testament to the brilliant, fragile, miraculous machinery that allowed your ancestors to love, to trust, to rely on another person. In a world of saber-tooths and glaciers, that machinery is what allowed them to form bonds strong enough to raise helpless children for a decade, to coordinate hunts that fed the tribe, to create culture and story and art around those very fires. Your capacity for this pain is the direct, necessary cost of your capacity for that level of love and cooperation. You wouldn't have one without the other. Tonight, when the silence in your room is loud enough to hear your own heartbeat, know this. That ache is not useless grief. It is the ghost of an ancient negotiation, the echo of a successful survival strategy, written into every cell of you. It is the price of 1,000,000 successful goodbyes that led, improbably and beautifully, to you being here at all. You are not mourning a failed relationship. You are feeling the immense, historic weight of a bond being recalibrated by a system that believes, with every fiber of its being, that your connections are worth this much pain. Because in the world that built you, they were everything.